Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Atkinson. I'm the founding executive director of Mothering Justice. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today. So my experience as a leader in a grassroots organization and the ballot initiative space has been really interesting. I've been in a variety of positions on a ballot initiative. I started my career with Acorn as a Canvas director, raising minimum wage in Florida. And so I've experienced different points of a campaign, and being someone who came to the space with an idea, or organization came to the space with an idea, has been really interesting, right? So our organization said we want earned sick time because our members said we need earned sick time. And bringing that idea to funders is extremely intimidating, right? We raise money all the time for our organization, but to say that we are capable of running this, we have the knowledge, all of those things is a really intimidating place to be. And also being in a position where you want to change the rules, right? So I've been around ballot initiatives for a really long time. I've been there when it was strictly pay to play, and I've been there as groups have been trying to change the dynamics around who gets to make decisions on a campaign. I've experienced different consultants and their opinions and how that impacts and changes the direction of a campaign. But for me, it was really important that we were able to bring the voice of our members, that we were able to speak unapologetically about our own experiences as Black mothers, and that are the people that were going to help us the most, who've been there at our backs and whose backs we've had in the field, were able to be resourced to do the work that it takes. And it was hard. And I hope that we have been able to pave the way for a different mindset in any small way. And I, have been so appreciative of the leaders that have stepped up at BISC to say we need to have a system that prioritizes the people that are doing the work, and the work itself as it looks to really get signatures, to really get people involved, and to understand what a community is going through holistically, so that we can be in the fight for the whole way, including idea to implementation.
I work on the States Initiative, which is an opportunity to work with state-based partners to build capacity in the field. One of those ways we do that is using ballot initiatives as a vehicle for power building. So this work really speaks to me, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. I wanted to get more deeply involved with BISC when I saw the thoughtful and deliberate work they were doing to draw the funding community and the state and national partners, so that we are being truly comprehensive and working together to build a model for how ballot initiatives should be thought of. Where I felt compelled to join is join the 360 ballot measure life cycle work squad. We'll just call it the 360 squad, because the goal of alignment is important, but it doesn't mean much unless funders and state partners come together to lay out the process and build a model for success that can be shared broadly. So as a funder, working with ballot initiatives, I often felt like I was making a Hail Mary pass. We had campaigns to fund, and we seized on trying to make sure that grassroots organizations had a place at the table where decision-making was happening. But there wasn't a full-scale look at the whole picture, and we didn't want to be a part of the boom and bust cycle. And we wanted other funders to join us, but without a way to build early alignment, we often felt alone. And with BISC's important work to transform this space, I know I'm going to be a better funder. I won't feel so much alone, and we'll definitely have better outcomes. So now BISC is taking a thorough and thoughtful approach to look at the whole life cycle of ballot initiatives, not just the campaign as we think about it, but all the aspects that need to go into ballot initiatives year round. And this is to ensure that funders are aligned with funders and funders are aligned with the grassroots. And this is critical, of critical importance, because we want to ensure that these campaigns are led by and for those from affected communities. And by thinking holistically, ballot measures can be incorporated more early into grant-making strategies, allowing our partners in the field to make better choices and consider ballot initiatives as part of a tool that is part of their year-round comprehensive advocacy agenda. And that's how we make smart choices. And that's how we're going to build power.
My name is Kanita Toffee, and I'm Senior Director of Groundswell Action Fund. Groundswell Action Fund was founded by women of color on a simple but revolutionary premise. Those who are most excluded from our democracy should be at the center of transforming it. And at Groundswell Fund, we believe that adequate funding is necessary and a key component of allowing organizations to build the infrastructure they need to engage in all levels of power building, including that of ballot measures. And my introduction into the work actually began in Florida, where I was founding staff of Florida New Majority at the time. This was in 2009, and really learned about the levels of infrastructure that is deeply needed to scale, to build capacity, and to bring along your base and community members, which are so critical to the win. And that really informs the way that we work in partnership with our grantees to provide not just adequate funding, but long-term consistent funding paired with deep capacity building. Our grassroots organizations, we're the largest funder of the reproductive justice movement. The vast majority of our grassroots organizations we support are newer to the civic engagement space, and asked Groundswell to provide support to them in building their own scales, to adopt new tools and technology, and to build, to add a layer of voting engagement to the grassroots organizing strategies that all of our grantees currently employ.
So we've had a variety of experiences working with state-based groups in the field around ballot initiatives. And, we're trying to learn as we go. One of the ways in which we've really tried to make sure that we have organizations who are at the table and in decision-making power is by funding those groups to have a seat at the table. And sometimes that's even just not enough. When you're working with, consultants and kind of the standard folks, the standard campaign folks, it's a mix of folks that might have the same goal, but don't always have the same way of getting to it. And so this work around the 360, looking at it through the 360 lens is really important to bring everybody into alignment, into the same kind of goal, the same way of getting there.
And it's in that phase when organizations are really building power, exercising power, sort of seeing that outcome, and having the community, impacted community, part of that, which is ultimately sort of the long-term goal here. We know that the boom and bust funding cycle has not allowed our organizations to fully leverage all of the varying stages of power building that is necessary. And so we recognize that our organizations have to contend with that boom and bust cycle, but we're actively trying to break it and helping our organizations actually build in those in-between times when there aren't major elections happening, so that our organizations can get and do the sort of work that they need to do to continue the leadership development of the communities that they're serving, the staff, increasing their staff capacity to take on larger fights. And so that area in particular, when our groups are really sort of building toward taking on some of the larger fights, is the place where we have just done the most and deepest investment around this work.
So yeah, I would really like to touch on and highlight Q's point around supporting the organization and also supporting the campaign. So we've been in this narrative for a really long time around how ballot initiatives can help grow your organization, but there is a large investment that you have to make into your organization to be able to maintain your organizational integrity while also working to win on a campaign. And it can, if you don't have the right investment and you go and you do a ballot initiative, you can drain your organization. And like that. And in some ways, it's also affected Mothering Justice. So to have a funder say that and to understand what it takes to just do what you do and then take on this other thing called a campaign, this other monster, is really heartening. And for to be in a space where that's understood is really important. Being a part of BISC has been really important to me because I see how the voices of the people on the ground who are working on specific issues in specific states are really being able to be amplified in the process of ballot initiatives. Even the people that we are in coalition with, that we fight with, have different ways of getting to the end goal. Different value systems and different policy suggestions lead us to different methodologies around signature collection. And all of those things need to be talked about, really planned for beforehand. And also, they need to be seen as natural parts of the process as opposed to a chaotic part of the process, which I think people on the ground have been trying to hide. So we don't want a funder to see our dirty laundry around, should we do graduated versus personal income tax, or should we do childcare for all, or should we have a stratus, a varied system? All of those things are just natural parts, and for BISC to embrace that in the conversation has been really good for grassroots organizations being able to have their voice being heard.
Being involved in the funder alignment, BISC funder alignment group has really been an impactful space for me as a funder with deep roots in the practitioner space, to be able to collectivize a lot of the lived experience, the along with the full knowledge of what it takes to do this work, which isn't just about winning, right? The part of the work that has been the most meaningful for me in the BISC space is really around redefining the win. That our organizations are doing work year round, year in, year out, bringing along many community members and individuals along in that process. And even if the direct sort of, election outcome isn't totally, sort of in the traditional sense a win, we know that infrastructure capacity, lives are changed, right, in the process of building this infrastructure, building these campaigns. And so it felt, it was really a real labor of love in terms of the work we were doing together to identify the ways in which we would redefine what it means to win and actually amplify to other funders, other colleagues of ours, in terms of just peeling back the curtain even on the depth and immense amount of work in building relationships year round and in just building capacity and infrastructure and what that takes.
And another thing I wanted to say is that I really appreciate BISC's expanded definition of winning. I mean, many of us think of a win as 50+1, but it's not that cut and dry. We've seen too many successful ballot measure initiatives where we get flat-footed on defending the win and that negatively impact the organizations or communities that we're working in and for. So some failed ballot initiatives can have a myriad of alternative paths to success, building long-term power because of how they were executed, even if they didn't win. So thinking beyond 50+1 as a measure of success and considering a more expansive definition will allow us to achieve those wins more effectively and building more durable power to create long-term change. Being a part of this 360 work squad and being a part of BISC generally has been really fun. I've learned a lot. The team at BISC is super dedicated, and it's a really great way to meet other funders and other state partners, new state partners, in a way that's really collaborative and that really underscores the need to all work together. Understanding all the different phases of the campaign, and again, understanding what a win really means. It feels very significant to me, and I feel really much a part of the community.